Brandon, thanks for coming back on the show. Last time you were on, we talked about your Ferrari Shark Nose Formula One car replica, and that was impressive. And then I think you had a GT40, an original GT40 in the garage that you were doing some work on for a friend, right?
Yeah, the very last serial numbered genuine GT40.
Yeah, very cool car. But now you've outdone yourself once again with your latest build, which is a Lancia 037 rally car replica. Brandon, I thought what we would do is I'll cover some of the history of the original Lancia 037, and then you can come in and tell us about the build.
Sure.
Because obviously these cars were rare to start with, and you had to get really creative.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what makes it fun. That's what I love about it. So
yeah. Well, and also we should mention that you are now fully in business doing this as Hegedus Automobili, right?
Yeah. No longer a carpenter. Now I'm building cars.
Wow, dude, you're living the dream.
That is what everybody tells me, and I try to not let that down. I try to embrace that.
Yeah,
live up to it.
Good for you. All right, so the Lancia 037. So Lancia's history in rally goes way back, but people might know the Lancia Fulvia from the 60s, and then of course the wild Lancia Stratos.
Yeah, man, those were so cool. Weren't those cool?
Very cool. And it started...
Do you know how many people I've had message me and say, please do a Stratos next?
Yeah, well, I mean, if anybody could do it, I think you could.
It's the glass that scares me. I need to find the glass.
Yeah. So the Stratos it started in rally competition and I think 1974.
Yeah.
The show car came out 1970, 71, something like that. And it's a wild looking thing. Marcello Gandini design.
It's really modern. We're talking the orange one, right?
Yes.
It's got a really modern design. Like if you were to look at that even today, it could almost pass as a show car of today.
I agree. It was that forward looking.
Yeah.
And it has kind of like a cockpit. It's almost like a fighter jet or an airplane.
Yeah. Well, the windshield goes all the way around. I mean, there's nothing flat to it. The windshield is almost like a complete U. So it gives it that.
It's so bizarre in a way, and yet, yes, very forward looking. So the Stratos kind of replaced the Fulvia as Lancia's rally car, and it did pretty well. And it had a Dino V6 from Ferrari.
Yeah.
Enzo didn't want to give them that engine, by the way. He thought, this is going to be competition for my own Dino. But I think when Dino production ceased, that's when he decided, yeah, okay, I'll give you 500 units for the Stratos. So those V6s went into that car. And then because Fiat had purchased Lancia in 1969, and there were some, I guess, political machinations behind the scenes, they wanted a Fiat to be the premier rally car, right, for the company. So they brought out the Fiat 131 Abarth. That kind of replaced the Stratos as the premier rally car, and it was really good. Twin cam, 16 valve, amazing car. It's an Econobox, right? It's a 3-box design, but lots of engineering tricks and body work to produce the rally car. So the rally car is nothing like the street car. And then after that comes the 037. And what makes the 037 so cool is the Group B rules for the FIA.
Or lack thereof.
Exactly. So people hear about Group B. Why was Group B such a big deal? It's precisely as you say. So the way they limited power pre-Group B was by limiting displacement size. And the max displacement was at the time, it was 4 liters. But they didn't limit boost, forced induction. And so all the manufacturers were like, aha, this is how we kind of get around the displacement limit. Now, there was a class modifier or an equivalency that they used, which was to say that if you have forced induction, we're going to take the number of cc's of your engine and we're going to multiply it by 1.4. And the number we arrive at there is the class you'll actually race in. So there was a 1.3 liter, 1.6 liter, 2 liter, 2.5 liter, 3 liter, and then finally 4 liter. So just some examples for people. The Peugeot 205, okay, that was a 1775 cc engine, but multiply it by 1.4 and you get 2485. Okay, so that puts it in the 2.5 liter class. In the case of the 037, it's a 1995 cc engine. Multiplied by 1.4, you get 2,793 cc's, if my math is mathing. So that puts it in the 3 liter class, right? So that's the equivalency. But the point is, everyone was using either turbocharging or supercharging on a smaller displacement engine. And then your power was virtually unlimited. The only limit was your engineering and physics. So pretty amazing.
Well, and the not lack of rules, but more the bending of the rules or the exploiting of the rule book kind of became the thing with Group B. I mean,
Yeah.
if there was any class of cars where the rule book was exploited to the absolute max, it was Group B.
No doubt about it. And other things, other examples would be like the materials that they used for any given component. You know, they were trying to use the lightest components possible, exotic materials, extreme power to weight ratios on these cars. The aero tricks got kind of wild on these cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you could tell us about that, right?
Well, I mean, look at the tail. Look at the tail alone on the 037 Evo 2. I mean, it's just this giant brick wall of a wing.
Yeah, the aero got wild, and then the limited number of cars they were required to build to homologate the entries, right? So
Right.
in the past, manufacturers might be required to build 5,000 units or 1,000 units or 500 units. But in Group B, they only had to build 200 examples for the road for public sale in order to qualify the racing version for Group
Yeah.
B.
And this is where you start into that funny story of these cars. And was it 200 or was it 400?
It was 200 for Group B.
Okay, because I've heard 2 versus 4, and of course the story goes with these cars is that they built the Stradales and they only built half of them that they were supposed to. The inspectors essentially were wandering around taking notes of the cars, checking to make sure that they had as many as they were supposed to have. Then they took them for lunch, a really long lunch, and in the meantime they moved all the cars to another parking lot, another place. And then when they were finished lunch, they went and took them essentially to the same cars, which they then counted again. That's kind of the folklore around it.
I've heard that story attributed to the Porsche 917.
So have I. Yeah.
200 versus 400. I know for a fact it was 200 for the rally cars.
Okay.
Because Group B really applied to rally and GT.
Mhm.
So it might have been that they needed to build 400 GT cars, but only 200 for rally. And so the 037 is a rally car.
Right.
So they ended up building 207 Stradales, which are the road car version, and only 40 Corsa versions, the racing version, which is, what your replica is. In a brilliant martini livery, probably my favorite racing livery of all time.
It's just got the colors, the lines. I mean,
Yeah.
How do you not love the martini livery?
Yeah, and it looks good on just about any car too.
That's right.
So because they only had to build 200 Stradales, that meant that there was plenty of money that they otherwise would have used to build road cars to put into the racing program. So this was a great deal all around for manufacturers. And that was the whole point, right? Was to push technology and innovation through the racing. And that's why the rules of Group B were pretty liberal.
Yeah.
There's also another little trick they did, which is that every year the manufacturer could build an Evo variant. So they could improve upon the original and kind of slide through the certification process to race that new Evo version. So that was a great help. And so when we talk about Evo cars from the 80s, that's really kind of the genesis of the Evo. That's where the Evo comes from. So this was a true arms race. Build whatever you want, as long as you sell 200 vaguely, related road cars.
Vaguely similar.
Vaguely similar.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's the history of the 037. I mean, we can talk about some of the specs of the original car and compare it to what you've built. So, I mentioned the Fiat 131 earlier, and that was a twin cam 4-cylinder, fuel injected. And that's what they put in the 037 as well. It's a great engine,
Hmm.
nice free revving engine. The base of the 037 was a Lancia production car called the Monte Carlo, and we know it in North America as the Scorpion, the Beta Scorpion.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I would kind of I would kind of relate it to the Figaro
yeah,
almost. It was kind of like an econo box, very entry level two-door sports car, if you would even call it that. But very, very econo box.
yeah. I mean, it's an affordable little entry level sports car, right? It's
Yeah.
very similar to the Fiat X19, which was same period, right, as the
Hmm.
Beta Monte Carlo, Beta Scorpion. So they took the Beta Monte Carlo's tub, which is an aluminum tub, and that was kind of the basis of the car. But hanging off the front and rear is a tubular steel frame where everything gets mounted: suspension, drivetrain, bodywork, all of that. So there was
Well, sorry. So the tub was steel. They were just a typical steel Econobox car.
for the production Beta. Really, I thought they were
Yeah.
aluminum. Okay, I
No, I
stand
think I
corrected.
think they were all steel.
Okay,
Like this car here is steel.
okay. So that tub formed the basis of the car, and then, like I said, tube steel subframes, front and rear. You've got four-wheel independent suspension, double wishbones, big coils, right? And then
Yeah,
double
huge.
shocks in the rear to, I mean, rallying is enormously punishing on a car. Brembo four-piston disc brakes, all four corners, a ZF 5-speed transaxle. And then here's the other thing: the drivetrain is longitudinal in the 037. It was turned 90 degrees in the road cars, but they made it longitudinal in this, and it is a true mid-engine car, so it's got good weight balance and distribution. So very little to do with the production car. They're just completely different animals.
Yeah. Well, then let's go back to the cockpit essentially. So on the originals, you're right. They took essentially the cab, like the A, B, and C pillar, and nothing more. They cut the front off and redid the sheet metal. They cut the back off right at the rear firewall, redid that sheet metal, and then they kind of welded. I don't even know if you'd call it a cage. It looks like a cage, but it's more just there to hold the suspension. It's to create pickup points for the front end, and then the back end is kind of a cradle for the engine, and then same thing, just some tube work to pick up the suspension. And so the car is built in three pieces. You've got a front half that's welded to the tin of the center. You've got a back half that's welded to the tin of the center. And then they built the cage inside and somewhat connected the three with it, which is why these cars exploded when they would hit trees and stuff. They weren't a full tube chassis. It was built in three pieces.
Right. It's not unlike a modern Lamborghini or Bugatti where it's modular. Like for example,
Yeah,
on Bugs and Lambos, the car splits in half right behind the passenger compartment.
right. Well, these were welded together and they weren't a stress member. Like those cars oftentimes were stress members in that way.
Right.
So you can kind of back half the car. But these were all kind of welded together. And it's really weird because there's really not much of the Monte Carlo that was used. I mean,
No.
the floors were cut out and dropped. Like I said, both firewalls were completely cut and modified, and full new chassis designed for them. It's kind of fun because they were just working with what they had. It's as if they wanted to go racing and they needed to homologate something, and they just looked around and said, "What do we have that's cheap? What do we have that's existing? Just use whatever we have, so we don't have to start from scratch."
Yeah.
And they just grabbed version of a Pontiac Fiero at the time and did this.
It's hard not to think of that car, right?
It's really what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that era's, or the Italian version of that similar car that we would relate to that in North America, right?
Yeah. Although the Fiero's Iron Duke was it was a boat anchor.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, so Abarth did all the tuning. Abarth by this time was also under the Fiat umbrella. They had been an independent tuner of Fiat cars since the 1950s, but eventually absorbed by Fiat. As I said before, Lancia was a Fiat company by this time. And Pininfarina was responsible for the bodywork on the 037. It was all Kevlar reinforced, fiberglass, resin impregnated, 3 or 4 major components, right? The nose, the tail, the doors, and the roof section.
Yeah, pretty much. And what a strange car. I mean, this is something I love about it, is to look at the car initially when you first see it. I mean, it's not like looking at a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something else Italian where something tells you, I don't know why, but it's just beautiful. Pininfarina just nailed that every time. And they nailed it with this as well, but kind of in a different way. It's a car that you almost fall in love with more the more you look at it. To just see it at a glance and not really know what the car is, not know its history, you might look at the car and say, what is this ugly, weird thing? Like, none of the lines line up. It doesn't really have like a nice flow to the shape of it and its stance. It's a really strange looking car, but there's beauty in that.
Yeah, I would say one of the things that's strange about it is you expect the lines to flow and maybe terminate in a different way, and then they do something that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, where it should go up, it kind of goes down, and its nose kind of looks a little too long and a little too sad. The way it kind of leans down in a frumpy manner, it has this it looks like it's bent. The car just looks like it's bent.
It does,
but it's really cool. It just works.
I don't know if this is an optical illusion. I've only seen, I think, one 037 in person, and I don't have a great memory of it, but it looks way too wide and way too low in a sense. Like its proportions are kind of kooky.
Yeah, it's kind of flat. I mean, the Stratos was kind of the same, right?
True.
Really wide and like a wedge, but then kind of flat. And they sat kind of high because they were rally cars, especially the Evos. But again, that's what makes it really odd as well, is because, the proportions are just very strange. But the more you look at it, the more you fall in love with it.
When I was a kid, I thought the Stratos was a one-seater because it doesn't look like it could fit 2 people in that thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It sure does look like a single-seater.
So, yeah, lots of oddities, but it also looks fast standing still, unlike, let's say, the Fiat 131, which is, like I said, an Econo box. and some other cars, like the Audi Quattros, they didn't have that sense of speed built into them just looking at them.
No.
But this thing looks like a little rocket ship. I think they were 280 horsepower in the racing version, and then the Evos bumped them up to 325. Not crazy power today.
Yeah, I think they started around 260 and then went to 280, and then not much power. I mean, really, when you consider today's standards, I mean, that seems like nothing. But to push that power out of a 2-liter in the 80s, that's pretty impressive.
And they supercharged it because the turbos at the time, there was a lot of lag. I suppose they could have done a twin sequential turbo, but I don't know how that would have fit. There's a lot of plumbing involved. The
Yeah.
turbocharger, I mean, the supercharger on the 037 it's a pretty good size unit, but it fits really nicely kind of in the footprint of the engine.
Yes. Yeah.
So, all right, so that's the basic history of the original race car. Now let's talk about your build. How did
Sure.
this all begin?
So after I finished the 412, I had been talking to a friend of mine, and
Oh,
he's big into.
stop right there because we got to just do a minute or two about the 412 because I totally forgot about that one.
Sure. That was the first kind of client car I did. Ferrari 412p replica, full carbon body, 5.5 liter V12 from a 456, Gen V ITBs, ZFQ transaxle. And so when that car was done, my portion of it, I sent it off with the customer, and I had been talking to a friend here, actually local, and he's English, so he grew up around these cars. This was his era, and I knew he just loved these, and so it kind of came up one day, and he said, "Man, it would be really cool to build one of these. I would love it to do that." And I said, "Well, let's do it. Why would you not do it? Like, I don't have another car right away. Let's do it." And he's like, "Oh, I just thought you were into Ferraris, and I thought you were into that road racing type stuff. I didn't know if you were into this at all." And I said, "Man, I'm into anything that's super cool, that's going to keep my attention, that I'm not going to fall out of love with. If I work on a car for a full year or two, as long as I'm not going to fall out of love with it, and it's got a cool history, it's a cool car, I come out to my garage every single day and just never lose passion for it, I'm into it. So if you share that same passion, then let's do it." And so we started looking. Originally, we were going to build it right from scratch, right from nothing. Go find a Monte Carlo and work from there. Well, Monte Carlos, I mean, I'm in Canada here, right? So a Monte Carlo is pretty rare around here, more rare than it is in the States even. And then to find one that's not rusted through or completely destroyed, and then the cost of it, I mean, you're gonna buy a car, and to find a decent car, you're gonna spend some real money on it, and then you're gonna cut it to pieces and keep literally nothing other than the main tub of it. So I put a call out on Instagram and just said, "Hey, I'm looking for a Monte Carlo. If you know of anything out there within North America, let me know." And all of a sudden, I mean, my inbox just lit up with people trying to help and sharing cars that were local to them and things, and that was really awesome. And then eventually, I got a message from a guy in England that said, "Hey, I'm assuming you're building an 037 because nobody in their right mind is just looking for a beat up Monte Carlo."
It's so true. I was going to say all these people are just trying to get rid of them, and finally somebody
Yeah.
wants it.
Yeah. So my friend was actually in England at the time. So I found out this guy's location. I called my friend. I said, "Go, take a couple hours drive and go actually see this. This guy says he's got a kind of a stalled project. Go and check it out and FaceTime me, and let's look at every single thing and look at all the welds, look at how he's going about it, look at kind of the progress he's made on it, and where he got to, and let's talk about that." And so he did. He made the drive, and we FaceTimed, and I kind of looked over it. The way he was going about it was very similar to the way I would do it, and so he bought that project and shipped it over.
Perfect.
Yeah. So he had been working on it for a number of years, kind of on the side. And I think he got to a point where just life happened the way it does. And I think he got to a point where it started to get hard. It really started to get to a point where you really had to have had some early planning to solve a lot of problems that would come later. So I think he got to a point there where those started to kind of turn their head. So we got the project, brought it here. It consisted of an almost finished chassis. It needed all the pickup points and all the suspension built still, but the main cage of it was there. The base guts or shell of the Monte Carlo He had an Audi 1.8T engine, which was the engine that I would have done as well if I were building from scratch. That would
Why
have been
would
my
you
choice.
why would you choose that engine?
Reliability, affordability, aftermarket, lots of aftermarket for it. It's kind of a jab at the history, which is kind of fun too. But it's just a really good platform. Modern power wise, it's just a really good platform.
All good reasons.
Yeah, because I mean, the idea behind what I'm doing here is to build a car that has the look and feel of an old car, but has the maintainability and affordability of a more modern car. Something that you can actually drive on the street, you can actually enjoy it, you can actually use it, you can repair it, you can change your own oil, and cost wise too. I mean, yes, there's guys out there who are building very original replicas with correct engines and things. I've always got to remember, I'm in Canada, so that stuff is even more rare here to get parts for it. I mean, everything now needs to come from Europe. It's just cost wise, it becomes exponential. It never ends.
Yeah.
So you've got to find a way to cut some corners, but also enjoy the benefits of those cut corners. So that was one of them. The bodywork that he had for it had come from Italy. I'm not sure exactly who made the bodywork, but the bodywork's pretty good. It needed a lot of work done to it. The shape is really well done, but like any fiberglass work, it needed a ton of work to it. Most people who have not done this or seen this kind of thing before, they assume that a body is simply almost ready to paint. You get fiberglass bodywork and it's like a factory 5 Roadster. I mean, you could darn well just about paint it at factory 5 and just assemble it onto a car. No, almost no fiberglass out there is like that. So the shape of this fiberglass was really good, but it was in that kind of state. It needed a lot of small corrections to it, a lot of door gaps fixed and changed, and making things fit together took quite a bit of work. But the shape overall was there.
What was the hardest part about the project?
A lot of people ask me that on these different projects. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because something might be hard at the time, and then my mind kind of moves on from it and I don't think about it again. Getting the doors to hang nicely took a bit of work because the doors on this car are fiberglass. So the full door is fiberglass. So I need to now fit a fiberglass door with a nose and a tail that gap properly onto a tin shell of an actual car. So things like that. I mean, I don't know if I would say it was hard. It was just more time consuming and sometimes frustrating.
Right.
People don't really understand when they say that these cars were light, and like Walter Roll talks about how dainty these cars were. They are dainty. The originals and the Stradales. I mean, looking at my friend's car and having it actually apart and open, and looking at the pickup points for the suspension, and just the size, like the wall thickness of tube, and the size of tube, and the steel thickness of pickup points, and so on. I wouldn't build a go-kart with that size of tube and that size of tin. I mean, they were dainty, unbelievably dainty. So this car, everything's been beefed up on this car to what should have probably been expected at that time. Obviously, that kind of stuff is different, but the overall suspension setup is almost exactly the same. Design of suspension and so on is pretty much the same. Spring rates and things should be pretty much the same. The shocks on the car, I went to Intrax Suspension in the Netherlands and worked with them to actually design exactly specific for this car to exactly what I wanted in every way. So the suspension on this is designed directly for this car. It's not off the shelf in any way.
Wow, that's great. Now, when you contacted them, could you tell that, like, oh, they're kind of excited about this project?
Yeah, it was really neat. They were, when I talked about what I was doing and kind of how I was going about it, they were pretty excited about that.
How about the brakes? Did you go with Brembos?
So the brakes on this are actually from a Maserati 4200 in the UK, where he started the project. That's a pretty easy to come by car for spares and stuff. Here, and not so much so. So I was able to use the brakes and the uprights from the Maserati.
I'm guessing the customer wanted this particular livery.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the toe tip is pretty cool as well with the green. But I mean, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do the Martini.
Gotta be Martini.
Yeah. So this is the number 5 car from the French 1984 Rally de France.
So this represents the tail end of the 037's career in rally.
That's right.
And they won the World Rally Championship in this car in, I think, 83, and it was the last rear-wheel drive car to do so.
Yeah. When you think about the all-wheel drive that Audi and their Quattro was battling them with, I mean, those guys came to the table with that technology and that advanced thinking, and these guys kind of showed up with just still rear-wheel drive. Like, how are you going to beat these guys?
Yeah.
And yet they did. They did. I mean, they kept up, and they did, which is really impressive. But it's also more things to go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another way to look at it, right?
True.
Audi had a lot of mechanical issues as well because of just more moving parts.
Yeah. So the 037, it's not really, if you think about all the different systems in it, it's not groundbreaking. It's just well engineered, put together right. The curb weight on the Corsa is like, I want to say it's 2,116 pounds.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah, 2,100 pounds or so.
Yeah. So still pretty light. And yeah,
they just got it right. I mean, what else can you say? And it stayed together. I mean, as long as you didn't wrap it around a tree, I guess, and it broke into 3 pieces.
Did the wheels come with all of the parts, or did you have to source those?
No, so the wheels we actually had made in Italy by Rowan.
Again, what was that conversation like? Hello, my name's Brandon. Can I speak to your wheel guy?
Well, so they're just a really small shop. So from what I understand, it's a really old guy who built wheels for Speedline back in this era. And so I have a friend, and she speaks fluent Italian, and she lived in Italy for a while. So I said, hey, we need to get a hold of this company. We're not Italian, so they don't want to give us even the time of day. They don't care. We've tried to contact them. Their contact is, or their communication is not great. I don't think they're going to give us any respect at all unless we speak them in Italian. I said, will you phone this company with us and talk to them to make sure we're getting the right wheel, the right offset, the right bolt pattern? I mean, this is not something you want to screw up. And we were like, okay, well, this is the wheel that we want, and she's translating, and this is the offset that we want, and this is the bolt spacing, and she's trying to think of the actual wording for these terms in Italian, because I mean, she's not ever needed to use the term offset in Italian, right? So she's doing the best that she can, even being fluent. And he's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. And we're like, well, like, does he actually get it? Or is he sure? Like, kind of reiterate that again. Make sure he gets it. And he's like, yeah. And finally we realize, oh, this guy built the original wheels for the original cars. Yeah, he gets it.
You
he
don't
does
need to give him the specs.
Yeah, he does know what he's talking about. So it was pretty funny. In the end, we got our wheels, and they're perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Are they magnesium, aluminum? What?
These are aluminum.
Okay. And maybe the originals were aluminum as well. I don't know, but
I think, I'm not sure. Some might have been magnesium. Some might have been aluminum.
I know the magnesium wheels get brittle, and you have to check them every so often. And so. Okay, so Brandon, you're a one-man band. You're doing all of this. You don't have a team. You don't have helpers. So take me through a work day in your garage.
Oh, man. Once I get the kids off to school, it's like a 12-step walk to my garage. And I don't know, you just turn the heat on and turn the lights on and just love every second of it. I enjoy the flow state kind of thing every day, just about every day. In fact, the days that I don't have that and the days that do get jumbled up, or maybe I'm waiting on something, those are actually really frustrating, where I can't carry on with something because I'm waiting on a part. waiting on the shocks to show up from the Netherlands was really frustrating because I did get to a point where I could not progress. I couldn't finish the pickup points and stuff and take it off the table, off my chassis table, until I had them. And so that really killed me. And part of that is why I do this alone and try not to rely on other people, is because I can control my schedule. On this car, I did everything myself except for the wiring. The wiring and the ECU and the dynoing. I have another friend who is just, that's his realm. He's a genius at it. And there are certain things where I know my limits, and you got to know what you do and what you don't do. And that is one of the things that he is much better at than I am. And you just got to hand that off.
Looking at photos of the original car, I noticed that the exhaust on your replica is very close to the original.
Yeah, it's funny too, because the original muffler, I was walking through Princess Auto up here, which down where you guys are is a lot like Harbor Freight. And they had a big bin of like surplus mufflers, surplus tractor mufflers. And it was one of the items on my mind. It's like, I need to find a muffler for this car. And I walked by and I saw this muffler, and it was just about the right size, just about the right shape and everything. And it was like $20. So I bought it. I said, for $20, I mean, even if it doesn't work, whatever. And yeah, so I made it work. It works great. And then the strange S curve, it's got the dual outlet and then a really weird S curve that comes down on the little flared tips. On the original cars, there's kinks in them. Like, they're not actually mandrel bent pieces. There's kinks in them, and it's little nuances like that when I bent mine, they kinked as well in the similar spots, and it just looks perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the cigar tips. You got those right too.
Yeah. That took a bit. That actually took a bit. The outer portion of those little cigar tips, because it's like a little flare. It flares out and then it comes back in. The outer portion I was able to purchase as a little piece of stainless steel. I was able to buy, but the inner portion of that I had to make it. So I had to kind of cut a shape and ring roll that, and it took a couple attempts, but I got it in the end.
Is there a particular part of the build process you enjoy more than the rest? I mean, like, is metal work your favorite? Is paint work? Is there something that you like the most?
I like it all. I really like building chassis. I really like setting up a chassis and the fabrication and keeping it all so square and setting up roll centers and building control arms and stuff. I don't know why. There's something about that I just really, really like.
Maybe it's because once that takes shape, you can really envision how the rest of the car will go together. And I mean, it is, after all, kind of the skeleton, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't get that right, other things are going to be off.
Well, and maybe it's the fact that that's what makes it a car. Like, it
Yeah.
starts as just pipes and tubes and whatever, and then suddenly it's an actual car. I don't know. There's just something about it that at the end of every single day you can look at that and say, "Wow, I did a lot today." Whereas sanding, I mean, again, I enjoy sanding carbon and fiberglass, and I mean, you can sand for a month straight and really not see progress. So maybe it's that.
I know there are some things in the garage that progress seems so slow, and it can be frustrating. You just got to keep pushing, though.
Yeah, you just can't get tired and sick of it and frustrated. You just gotta push through. I mean, there are those things, right? There are those things that are daunting, or that kind of I'll think about and almost be afraid of, like, or just avoid them. Just areas that I'll avoid until it comes to a point where, like, there's no going forward without having to do this thing, and so you just got to buckle down and do it. I mean, there are parts of that for sure.
It seems to me that you are a very organized person, because if you don't have that, you end up wasting a lot of time, looking for things or sorting through things or whatever.
When you're working on something and you got to pee but you just keep working on it and you keep working. And there comes a point where you're just like, all right, I can't even think anymore. I just gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I get like that with the cleanliness thing. Like I can kind of deal with a bit of a mess, and the garage can be a disaster with grinder dust and chips and stuff for a bit. But there gets to a point where my brain can't function anymore, and I just have to throw my hands up and just stop what I'm doing and completely clean everything.
My garage is in dire need of some organization and cleaning right now. It's a total disaster, and I'll probably have to go do that this afternoon.
I'm sorry I've shamed you into this.
No. Oh, listen, let me tell you, the guilt is deep-seated. The self-loathing is deep-seated. I probably would benefit from some therapy, but actually just cleaning the garage is cheaper. So
Yeah, it's true. I'll come out there. I'll come out there and clean your garage with you.
oh, well, let's do it. Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
you could pass on some good habits. Um, tell me more about the painting process because it looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean, these are race cars. I mean, it looks awesome in photos. It looks awesome on film. I mean, if you were a painter and you got up close to the car, I'm sure you would critique the heck out of it. But for what it is, for something I painted myself, I'm really happy with it. I think it turned out great. I've got I've got a friend in town here who's got a paint booth, and that's fantastic. I could never do this in my garage.
And the martini stripes are paint. Those aren't
Yes,
decals.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So the martini stripes I did paint here in the garage. Again, because I was able to control that, and that's only so much paint out of a small spray gun. All by eye. There's no map for that or anything. There's no layout stuff for it. So it was just a whole bunch of photos and tape lines and kind of looking down it and making sure that I didn't have a kink in my tape or anything, that all my lines were nice and flowing and looked right. And this I went back and forth on a lot. So when you ask about what was the hardest part, maybe this was. I had to find center of that blue to lay the red because I have two light blue stripes on either side that then need to go down the car and need to be even, because the dark blue and light blue stripes are even as they go down the car, but they're not just straight lines. I mean, they flow with the body line of the car. They kind of come together and then flare back out again behind the doors. So I realized that I had to do the widest portion first in the dark blue and marked all the way down the car every 4 inches or so the center of that blue. And that gave me the center of where my red should be. And then I was able to, by eye, kind of work out from that center the width of my red. And then I taped everything off, sprayed the red. So if that made any sense to anybody.
No, it makes sense, and it looks so authentic, so good. Have you put any miles on it?
Not yet, because the weather outside is a little snowy. We've been getting like a really nice week of weather where all the snow melts, and then we'll get a crazy dump of snow. So
Yeah, you got to be itching to get out in it.
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's dyno tuned. I built it originally without a charge cooler just because I wanted to see if it could be done. Immediately, the boost temperatures and intake temperatures were off the charts. And so I had to go back into it and build a charge cooler for it. So once the weather clears up, we can actually tune it to that and make some proper power with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's going to be some good video out of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So with this project concluding, what's next?
I'm going to be doing a Mercedes CLK GTR GT1 for a
Oh
guy.
man, you're hitting all the right spots.
I one of my worries with this car is I don't know what I'm going to do after that. What can possibly be as exciting after a CLK GTR? Like, am I hitting my peak too soon?
I mean, I think you have to just sit down and make a list of your dream builds, right? And find the right people to commission
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely one of them. I mean, did I think that my first one was going to be a P4 or 412P, and then this, and then a CLK GTR, and then there's discussion about a Delta S4, like a proper all-wheel drive Delta S4.
Well, and getting back to what we talked about originally, the Stratos,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
incredible. What's great about all your builds, of course, this is kind of the reason they're there at all, is because these are all rare cars, incredibly expensive to own the real thing, and not very usable at the end of the day, or limited use case. So, you're building stuff that people can use, and there's no attempt to pass it off as the real thing. Of course, I mean, people understand
Right.
what you're doing is paying tribute and doing really good work and making them as accurate as possible in many ways, but also giving them reliable modern underpinnings that people can use.
That's the beauty. Our automotive world is going away from user-friendly cars. New vehicles with warranties on them, you can't really touch them yourself without voiding a warranty. Some of them, even internal combustion cars, still, you can't really get under that hood yourself anymore. And EVs, I mean, especially there, I really think there's a place out there where people just want a crazy car that they can still work on themselves.
All right. Well, if people want to see more, they can check out your website at Hegedus Automobili.com. I'll have a link in the show notes. Brandon Hegedus, thanks for coming on. This was really fun.
Thanks a ton, Maurice. It's always a pleasure.